Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at the really compelling journey of Pawan Kalyan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many of you know him as this celebrated Telugu film actor, but, well, he's now stepped into a pretty significant role as the Deputy Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah, it's quite a shift, isn't it? From the silver screen to, high political office. Really fascinating.
It really is, and that's what we're here to understand. How did this happen?
It's an interesting mix, isn't it? Celebrity power, public feeling, and some very calculated political moves seem to have brought him here.
Right.
His story really gives us a unique way to look at sort of modern Indian politics.
So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack this remarkable rise. We've looked at various sources to kind of trace the key moments and the, well, strategic choices that really defined his path to this position.
Yeah.
We want to give you a clear, insightful understanding of how this political journey unfolded without, getting bogged down in too much extra detail.
And we know you want to grasp the essentials quickly, thoroughly. So that's what this deep dive is set up for, to deliver those core insights, the how behind this transformation.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Pawan Kalyan, he first became huge as the power star of Telugu cinema.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
His whole on-screen thing just resonated deeply, right?
Yeah.
He built this really strong connection with everyday people.
Definitely.
We're talking blockbuster after blockbuster, a genuine cultural icon. So this popularity, this massive popularity, was clearly the foundation for his political ambitions later on.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, is that his roles often had him playing characters fighting for justice.
Right, the underdog type.
Exactly. Often against, the establishment or powerful forces. That image, that kind of benevolent hero image, it really stuck with audiences. And that likely laid the groundwork for people to see him as someone who could actually fight for their causes off screen too. While it's a powerful head start, politically speaking, when you already have that much goodwill banked.
That makes sense. Then, okay, 2014 rolls around, and we see him move beyond just, like, supporting others. He launches his own political party, the Janasena Party.
Yeah, that was a big step.
And this wasn't just some casual celebrity thing, was it? It felt like a clear statement, like, I'm here to actively play a role in politics.
It really did. And starting your own party, even if it's small at first, it signals you have a distinct vision, right? A specific platform you want to build.
So not just joining the existing players.
Exactly. It suggests maybe you feel the existing parties don't quite cover the issues or the people you want to represent. It's a much bigger task, obviously, building everything from the ground up.
And then, in those 2014 general elections, he made a really interesting strategic call.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't run himself. Instead, he decided to throw his support behind the TDP-BJP alliance.
Which was significant.
Yeah, because even though he wasn't actually on the ballot paper, his rallies were huge, they drew massive crowds, and, well, many believe his endorsement really swung things in certain areas.
It definitely had an impact.
It showed he could influence voters without actually seeking an office for himself, at least not then. What does that tell us about his early grasp of political influence?
Well, it suggests a pretty savvy understanding of leverage, I think. He knew how strong his public appeal was, and he chose to use it in a way he thought would have the biggest effect at that specific time.
So, thinking strategically.
Yeah, maybe focusing on broader political goals rather than just, immediate personal gain, like getting elected himself right away.
Okay. And after that election, Pawan Kalyan and his Janasena Party, they started getting quite vocal on different public issues.
They did, became quite active.
He was consistently speaking out for farmers, raising concerns about land acquisition, talking about youth employment, the challenges facing marginalized groups.
Mm-hmm.
He even wrote a book, didn't he, ISM, which he apparently referenced quite a bit in speeches, trying to lay out the party's core ideas.
Yes, ISM. That was his attempt to give the Janasena Party a more, let's say, structured ideological footing.
Right, beyond just his personality.
Exactly. Now, how deeply that resonated with the wider public is maybe debatable, but it did signal an effort, an attempt to articulate a set of principles, even if they were perhaps broadly defined.
And it wasn't just talk, right? We found this quote that seems to capture that early focus pretty well. My fight is for the common man, for justice, for a better future for our state.
Yeah, that sums up the message.
So this constant focus on public welfare, on accountability, it seemed really central to his early political pitch. But how did that initial energy then translate, or maybe not translate, into actual votes in the next election cycle?
Yes, that's the crucial question, isn't it? Because while having that individual popularity and, stating a vision are important first steps,
Right.
actually turning that into a solid organization on the ground in every village and town and having a really clear, consistently communicated ideology that connects with a wide range of voters, that takes time. It takes a lot of effort.
And the 2019 elections really brought that challenge home, didn't they?
They certainly did put it in sharp focus.
Absolutely. I mean, 2019, the general elections that year, they were a huge setback for him.
A major setback.
The Janasena Party only managed to win, one single MLA seat?
Just one.
And incredibly, Pawan Kalyan himself lost in both places. He ran Bhimavaram and Gajuwaka.
Yeah.
For someone with that kind of public profile, that must have been a really, really tough result. So what were the main reasons, looking back?
Well, the analysis after 2019 pointed to a couple of key things. Like we touched on, while he clearly had this massive personal following,
The fan base.
the party's actual organizational network, the people working at the local level, it was still pretty underdeveloped.
Right. Not deep enough roots yet.
Sort of. And there were also questions about whether Janasena's platform was distinct enough beyond just Pawan Kalyan's own appeal, converting that, passionate fan energy into reliable votes for the party across all these different constituencies. That turned out to be a really significant hurdle.
It really would have been understandable if he just sort of stepped back after a defeat like that, a major public loss.
Many might have.
But this is where his persistence really shows. He didn't vanish. He actually kept touring the state, seemed to really focus on strengthening the party's structure, like from the grassroots up.
Double down.
And maybe even more importantly, he started strategically looking into potential alliances with other parties. It feels like he learned a really crucial lesson there.
It seems so.
That even with immense personal popularity, you might still need the combined weight of a broader political coalition to really make headway.
And that shows, I think, a critical aspect of political growth, right? Being able to learn from your setbacks and actually adapt your strategy.
Instead of just giving up.
Exactly. Many would have been discouraged, perhaps walked away. But his continued work, especially focusing on building those alliances, it really points to a, let's say, pragmatic evolution in how he approached politics.
And that strategic shift, it absolutely turned out to be the turning point, didn't it? Leading up to the 2024 general elections, Janasena made this huge move, forging a strong alliance with the TDP and the BJP.
That alliance was undeniably the game changer. It completely shifted the political maths in the state.
What was it about that specific combination that made it so potent?
Well, its strength really lay in how it brought together different complementary assets. And they used that combination to really tap into the anti-incumbency feeling that was out there.
Okay, so what did each bring?
You had Pawan Kalyan, obviously, bringing his huge charisma, his appeal, especially with younger voters, maybe the middle class, too.
Oh, that's star power.
Then you had the TDP, which offered its, long-established organizational network, its machinery on the ground, and a pretty solid existing voter base.
Yeah, their structure.
And the BJP added its national presence, its resources, that connection to the central government. Pawan Kalyan's role in actually bridging these different parties, bringing them together, that seems to have been really key to making it work.
And wow, the results in 2024 were just decisive.
Absolutely decisive. A landslide victory for the alliance in Andhra Pradesh.
And for the Janasena Party specifically. Within that alliance, the outcome was just, remarkable.
It really was. Janasena contested 21 MLA seats as part of the deal.
Right.
They won every single one, all 21.
Incredible. A 100% strike rate.
Exactly. And they also contested 2 MP seats, the Lok Sabha seats, and won both of those as well.
Wow.
So yeah, this clean sweep, it's just such a powerful indicator of the alliance's effectiveness and definitely of Pawan Kalyan's major political comeback.
We even saw this news report snippet that kind of summed it up. The alliance has swept the elections, a stunning victory for the TDP Janasena BJP combine.
Yeah, that captures the mood.
It really hammers home the scale of that political shift.
Yeah.
So where does all this leave Pawan Kalyan right now?
Well, this huge electoral win has obviously catapulted him into a really significant position of leadership. The challenge now, of course, is turning that political capital, that victory, into effective governance.
Right. Because today, as we record this in June 2024, Pawan Kalyan holds the post of the 11th Deputy Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh.
A monumental achievement, really.
It absolutely is. It reflects not just his, enduring appeal, but also that strategic political skill we've been talking about.
And he's got some significant portfolios, too.
Yeah, important ones. Panchayat Raj, rural development and rural water supply, and also environment, forest, science, and technology. Plus, he's now representing the Pithapuram constituency as an MLA.
So his current position really shows his political weight, both within the alliance and in the state government overall. His ability now to actually deliver on the promises made during the campaign, especially in those areas he's responsible for, well, that's going to be watched very, very closely. It'll really determine the sort of longevity and the real impact of this victory.
So he's right in the thick of it now, the practical side of governing. He and the whole alliance government, they've got this huge task of delivering on what they promised. Things like economic development, creating jobs, improving infrastructure, making public services work better.
The standard but crucial deliverables.
Exactly. And his performance, particularly in those ministerial roles he holds, it's going to be under a microscope. Can he actually, translate this massive political success into real, tangible benefits for the people of Andhra Pradesh? That really seems like the big question now, moving forward.
That's precisely it. The skills that help you win an election aren't always exactly the same skills you need for effective administration, for governing day to day.
Right. Different skill set.
So his ability to lead, to implement policies effectively within his ministries, that's going to be the real test of this new chapter in his political story.
So when you step back and look at Pawan Kalyan's whole journey, it is a genuinely compelling story.
It really is.
It's got ambition, it's got major setbacks, it shows real perseverance, and then ultimately this dramatic political triumph. It kind of highlights the often unpredictable way Indian politics works, where people from all sorts of backgrounds, including, the entertainment world, can rise to these incredibly influential positions if they can adapt, learn, and crucially, build those strategic alliances.
And if you think about the bigger picture, his path really offers a fascinating case study for anyone interested in contemporary Indian political history.
Yeah.
It makes you think about that complex relationship between, popular appeal, the strategic need for alliances in such a diverse political field, and then the ultimate measure, which is effective governance in a democracy.
And on that note, perhaps we'll leave you, the listener, to think about the longer-term impact of Pawan Kalyan's rise. How will his huge popularity, the alliances he's built, and his performance now in government, how will all that ultimately shape his legacy and maybe the future direction of Andhra Pradesh?
A lot to watch.
Definitely. Thanks for diving deep with us today.